How's it going, everyone? It says I'm live, so I'm gonna assume I'm alive. You know those live streams where they're like 5-10 minutes late and you're really annoyed by it? I'm that guy now. I apologize for it. This is my first one though, and I just remembered where I stuck my camera. Put it away in a safe spot, and I just remembered where I stuck my camera like 5 minutes before I started the stream. So today's goal will be to start laying down my yard tracks. Let me turn this down a little bit. I want to have something in the background, but I don't want to blast you out. I don't know how loud it is. Hey, Wyke, thanks. I'm glad to be going live. I actually want to start doing this from now on, Saturday mornings, because I like live streams and it encourages me to get work done. So let me show you what I'm going to do here. I'm going to actually try to lay down in this stream at least these two switches and the track that is associated with those switches. And then doing so will hopefully allow me to get a little bit further along with this road. Can you hear me okay? Oh, I got my COVID. Can you hear me okay, by the way? Because it says that I'm streaming audio, but my audio, let me do this real quick. Hope my audio is okay. Okay, cool, I'm fine. Thanks, sorry about that. Yeah, I just got my COVID-19 check myself, and I'm itching to spend the money for sure, but I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna be responsible. All right, so let's get started on this, shall we? Hey, Steven, thanks. This is my test run, so I just want to make sure I'm doing everything right. Eventually, I'm gonna get to the point where I can start like running trains and stuff, which would be fun. I would think that SSI people would get theirs pretty quick. My daughter's on SSI, and she got that through her mother when her mother died. And we've never had a problem getting the checks from them. So do you get yours mailed directly to you, or do you get yours deposited? I guess it's probably more information than we should share. So what's going to happen is this track here, which you can barely see in your camera, this is a switch. Let me pull way back here. So this far track here is Union Pacific main line. This near track here is Meadowland Falls main line. This is Code 83 track. There's a crossover at this point to get to the yard, which starts right here. Yeah, direct deposit, I do that as well. That is a way to go. Anyways, so this is Code 83, but once we get to the yard, that starts Code 70. So I'm going to do a short section of Code 83 right here. That's going to help me transition down to my Code 70 track here. I was going to originally butt these two pieces of track up against each other like that. I don't think I'm going to do that now. I want a little bit of separation, just a little more separation between my yard tracks and my mainline tracks, even this little bit here. So hopefully help the transition for trains that's going to be taking this S curve coming off of Union Pacific Main Line and into yard tracks here. Hopefully make that transition a little nicer. And in real life, the connection between Union Pacific and the real short line that I'm modeling is about 14 miles away from the track. So this represents about 14 miles right there. This little piece of track. But I think it'll look good, and I'll separate the yard a little bit from what's going on in the main line. Just a little visual separation. Doesn't need much. So let us get our stuff. Where is my stuff? There's my file. I keep things nicely organized. That's why it's so hard to find. Okay. Should have probably had all this set out before I started. Here are my transition joiners. And there is my code 83 joiners there. All right. And my rail nippers. Awesome. Yeah, I had an N-scale layout myself back in my late high school, early college years. I guess this was my whole college years. And I loved that layout. I really, let me measure this before I just go start cutting. I really loved the size. It was nice. You could get a lot done in a limited space. I had a full layout that I stuck in the back of a Mercury Capri and drove to Savannah, Georgia to college with that layout in the back of that tiny hatchback. And that was awesome. I got a lot of crap from my friends about it, as you can imagine. But I didn't care. I stuck that thing underneath my, I stuck it in my closet. Leaned up against the back wall of the closet and pulled it out occasionally to play with it. It was nice. So your HO scale had 9 engines? Should be doing this on camera. Learn how to do that. I, these days, do feel that now that I have the space, I really enjoy HO. So, like, back in my day, back in the late 90s, the mid to late 90s, I would say that HO scale out of the box and N scale out of the box had a very similar visual appearance. HO scale, you had molded in grab irons. You did have separately applied grab irons, but you had to kind of do a lot of that work yourself. I'm missing my flat file. Hold on. I'm sorry if I'm missing some of the chat. I've got my computer pretty far away from me. I guess I could move it a little closer. But so going to N-Scale at the time was not a huge deal for me. From a visual, and I'm more of a visual guy myself. I'm an artist by trade, so I like the look of like all the detailed parts, which just wasn't available ready to run in HO Scale at the time. And I was pretty young at the time as well, so doing all that myself was not really an option. But after I got out of college, and I kind of spent a few years away from model railroading, when I got back, like suddenly photo etch walkways and wire gravires and all that was like the norm. You buy an Athearn Genesis card for like, $20, $25 that had all that built into it already. And that's got me excited to get back into the hobby and got me excited to get into HO. And so I did. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and lay everything out and just make sure that I'm happy with the placement. Measure once, measure twice, cut once kind of deal. So N-Scale is, I will say this about N-Scale, it has gotten in the recent years to looking really fantastic though. Like a lot of the difference between HO and N-Scale in recent years has gone away for sure. One of these is just a little longer than the other. But what I'm enjoying now, and even like the sound thing, right? Like sound really got me like super excited about getting back into the hobby. And at the time, sound just really wasn't a thing in it. But now sound is. You can get sound in your N-Scale looking. So there's really not a ton of advantage anymore to have an HO over N. Other than, well, the reason I like it so much, which is the heft. I think it's a little heftier, which makes it a little more appealing in my book. All right. Looks pretty good. Do some measuring here because I need to cut out a little notch below here on the cork so that my, if you can see that, there's a little, I'm going to go see it very well, there's a little plate that comes down below the Knuckle Engineering turnouts that house the spring for hand throwing your turnouts. So I need to measure, I need to mark where that is located so I can dig that out. And then I also need to mark where I'm going to be dropping my feeder. Which is going to be right there. I've got my feeder down there. For my frog. I'll measure just to make sure that I've got this thing fairly straight. I always tend to kink my track book a little bit as I lay it. Give myself a little guide. Okay, that's pretty good. Yeah, I've never tried in decoders in N scale anything. That could be interesting. One of my least favorite things about model railroading is electronics. Soldering and all of that. I guess I could have been a little bit better prepared for my tools. So I'm going to, I'm sure what I'm going to do here. Okay. I've got this frog. I'm going to install a little drop into the benchwork. So I need to carve out this plastic here on the bottom of this hot metal frog here. And to do that, I'm going to see if I can get this to focus for you. I've got this little round metal bit on the end of my Dremel. It does a really good job taking down the plastic and not too fast. And actually, I'm going to remeasure this because I don't want to put the drop where I said I did. I'm going to put it up here. A little more metal to work with right here. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to take that down. Ah, the sounds of model railroading. All right, let me show you what I just did. You see, I just took the plastic down, exposed the metal on the bottom of that. And that's the metal for that frog there. So I can drop the lead down. I'm going to do it on my other turnout while I'm at it. Can you share a link to that soldering iron? I've got a Weller that I like okay, and I don't feel like it's the best. It's like drilling teeth. Yeah, sleeping baby in this room here too. All right, let's heat that soldering iron, shall we? I gotta figure out how I'm gonna do that. Because I'm out of wall plugs right now. If I turn off that light, that's fine. Got my podcasting light set up right now because lighting in this room is terrible. Okay, we'll get that cider there nice and hot. Yeah, I mean, it's a Weller. It's a nice iron. Hey, I don't have any more tips for it than what came with it. I had a Weller knockoff before that I used for a number of years, and I bought a lot of tips for it. And I thought that once I got the real thing, it would be the same thing, but it's not. It's not the real same thing at all. While that's heating up, let me show you what my parents got me for Christmas. Metal sign to hang above the stairs. Apparently, this is what my mom said that the English train stations had, and she went there to ride the steam locomotives. So she got one for me, which is kind of awesome. It's a little goofy. My wife hates it, so of course I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it up on our wall. My intention with wiring up these frogs is to actually not ever have to really use them. With the Keep Alive decoders, my hope is that I won't need to wire the frogs because the Keep Alives will kind of do the job for me. That's the hope. What am I doing? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire all the frogs. I'm going to run all the wiring, but I am not going to power the frogs unless it becomes an issue. Unless I find like in one section, I really need those frogs powered. I'm really very happy with the Keep Alives that I've got in my scale trains locomotives. Now I don't have Keep Alives in my Athearn 6 axles, but they are 6 axles, so hopefully they will just roll over those frogs and be fine. Although I say that now, that's a death sentence. I'm going to go ahead and wire up, even though I think I'm only going to lay down 2. Turnouts, I'm going to wire up 3 on that. Good to have a basement. Good to have a basement. Hey, Jim, how's it going? I like that too, train sign. I see people occasionally with it at their houses, and I'm like, oh, that's fun. And then I actually got one for my parents, which was kind of nice. Chemo is not fun. My first wife went through some chemo because she had a really bad infection. So they put her on chemo, and that was interesting. Interesting times for sure. So good luck to you there, man. I think it'll be fine. They're pretty good these days, these doctors. Chemo is not what it used to be, from what I understand. It ain't greatest, but the alternative is worse, right? That's what they always say. Oh, good. That feels pretty hot. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just put some solder on. I'm going to put some solder on. How am I going to do this? Yeah, let's go ahead and put it on here. Into a little solder on the pad. So we're going to need a second pair of hands. When you say most of Twitch knows about it, do you do some Twitch streaming? How am I going to get here? Try this. Let's just do it this way. Let's just do that. All right, I'm going to put some solder on this puppy as well. This is where my suckiness really shows itself. Not great. Not great at soldering at all. But done it just enough to know that I will never be good at it. A little bit closer so you can see my soldering skills. Can I focus here? Focusing is going to be an issue, isn't it? All right, squint. There you go. We'll tinned solder lead. Oh man, I bet you if you do it for a living, you would be really good at it. My mom was soldering for a living when I was a kid. I would have made her solder all my track. My railroad might have come out a little bit better. All right. So now that I've got both sides tinned, I'm just going to go ahead and apply some heat. Come on. Luckily, none of this will show, so I don't need to be pretty. I just need to be secure. I want a little more solder into that. Because I don't want this ever, I want this to be a cold joint. I don't want it to ever come off. Ah! See, this is why. This is why it takes so long for me to get this track laid down, because this part I hate so much. I do such a poor job of it sometimes. I just get frustrated. One down. Add a little more solder to the pad before I put the wire on there. Hey, you did some online racing? Like sim racing? Because I was doing that on Twitch myself. Is that what you're doing? Come on. iRacing, awesome, man. Yeah, I watch quite a bit of iRacing myself. I really enjoy it. I love. There's something about sim racing watching those guys sim race. That's really cool. I had a up until recent. If you watched my last video, I talked about how I sold off some stuff in order to like buy stuff for the model railroad hobby. What I sold was my sim racing rig. I had a pretty nice like sim racing rig where I had a bunch of parts that I modded myself. I liked it a lot, and I Twitch streamed it a little bit as well. But I didn't play it enough, and played it on my console, which is in my living room. And so I had this really big like sim rig with like a racing chair, wheel and pedals, and shifters, and handbrake, and I had all that up in the living room, and I wheel it out kind of in front of the TV whenever I wanted to play, and wheel it in the corner when I didn't. My wife and I got a new couch that kind of was sectional that took up that corner, and so some racing gear had to move to the basement. And I was like, okay, I'll put it in the basement. I'll bring the PS4 down whenever I want to do some sim racing and put it on the TV downstairs and do it that way. And that I quickly realized that was never going to really happen. So I ended up selling that off just because I was not going to be able to ever devote the time to it that it really deserved. And I think for me, I just enjoyed acquiring the toys and modding them, putting magnetic shifters on my wheels and tactile plates in my sequential shifter, and enjoyed all that aspect of it. I think more building the rig itself and the actual sim racing part of it. So once all that was built, a lot of my interest kind of started to wane. I like kind of fun mechanical toys and stuff, so that's sort of where most of the interest in sim racing was for me. Although I still really enjoy watching people race because I find it just really it's just incredible. They've got these laser scan tracks. And this is just not sticking where I want it to. This is me doing a poor job at soldering this one. God, what's going on? Here, let me try this again. So yeah, it is. Sim racing is really awesome. Yeah, G27 is a good one. I had a T300 that I modded, put magnetic shifters on the wheel. I had a Fanatec Club Sport 3 V3 pedals with the upgrades on that. I had Thrustmaster TH8A sequential shifter, the H pattern and sequential shifter, and I had a mod plate on there so that I got a more clunky sequential shift on that. And then I had the Thrustmaster handbrake. And I all had it on this like really nice wooden rig that I built for myself. I had the butt kicker, the vibration thing in the rig itself. So when you're shifting and you're running over curbs and stuff, you're feeling it in your butt. That was fun. Once I got it built, I just never really took advantage of it. I got a buddy that does it, and he has a PC. I was doing it on my console. I think so he can do iRacing. I couldn't do iRacing. I was Gran Turismo and Dirt Rally were my two games. So the online scene was cool, but I think the iRacing online scene is cooler. So I think it would have been nice to have been able to do some iRacing for sure. But I sold it all, and I was able to really get like almost 100% of my money back on it, which was really amazing. I think really like after shipping, you know, I think people were buying stuff from me because A, it was modded, and they could also save on shipping, especially on like the Fanatec stuff. The Fanatec stuff I sold for more than I paid for it, which is crazy. Yeah, force feedback is indeed awesome. There's few things like it in the world. To feel the track, the vibration of the curves as you get hit and feel that, and then, or to like, my favorite part was like just riding the edge of a slide. You know, you're going just fast enough that you can feel your tires getting a little loose. You know that like if you can ride that line and you can take that corner as fast as you possibly can. So good. Few things. I mean, a regular video game with a controller is not going to give you that feeling, you know. Maybe one of these days, once I get the kids off to college, I'll come back to it. Yeah, controllers can be tricky, for sure. Especially if you weren't, born with one in your hand. My kids are really, really good. This is really bright. Good Lord. This is better. My kids are really good with controllers. But they have been on them their entire lives, and they do games that I am just super impressed by with the controller. That they're able to do that. I didn't add flux to anything, which probably would have made this flow better. But I think the connection is solid. Okay. We're going to drill the hole for this turnout. Actually, it's not this one. It's going to be that one. Perfect. All right. Yeah. Not too far. See if I can widen this hole a little bit. Ooh, DeWalt. DeWalt is a very good brand. That's gonna be an awesome drill for you. My dad purchased me this drill as my first kind of man's drill. Like everything before that I had was plug into the wall kind of crap. I got this years ago, Ryobi. I like it. It's Ryobi brand. I would, if I was starting over from scratch, I would definitely go with DeWalt. But Ryobi is not bad either. All right, so I gotta carve out this little section here, so that I can, all my springs and stuff can clear. That doesn't need to look great because I'm gonna come back and once I ballast, be very careful around that area, but fill it in, make it look decent. Really just need everything to clear nicely. So there's no binding below there. The key to good track work is just taking your time and making sure you're doing it right. This is the way to make track work look good. comfy race chair, huh? I had a cheap eBay chair that was intended for cars, although God help the person that would ever put that chair in his car. But it looked cool. It was racing style chair, and it was black suede with red stitching, so it matched my Alcantara wheel really nicely, and it was comfortable enough. But it did not look like it could stand up to a crash. Alrighty. So I'm going to put on my rail joiners and start to glue this stuff down. Now with my track work and joining sections of track, I've made a decision on this layout. This is the first layout I'm doing this with. I am not going to solder straight sections of track, nor am I going to solder between track work and switches. I'm going to let the glue kind of take care of that. I'm going to run feeders to every single individual piece of track to help maintain conductivity. And the reason why I'm not doing it on straight sections of track is because I need to leave expansions, right? So I'm going to leave the expansions between sections of straight track to allow that kind of to expand and contract right at that that joint, right where the connection happens. I'm doing it on the straight track. I'm not soldering the straight track so that I can solder curved track. And the reason why I'm soldering curved track is to help kind of avoid kinking that can kind of happen. A lot of people say don't solder your curved track. I've seen places where people say solder the curved track, don't solder the straight track. And that seems to kind of make sense. I don't have a lot of curvy track. Like I don't have like anything more than like a 90-degree turn. So, well, that's not true. It's basically a 90-degree. Although there is that one spot where there is a 180. So I guess I do have that. But I know people have done that and have had good success when it comes to expansion, track expansion. And I honestly don't think that that's going to be an issue in my basement anyway, because I keep this basement about as warm in the winter as it is in the summer. So track expanding, contracting based on heat should not be an issue. The only issue that I would foresee would be more along the lines of humidity. And I can't control that as easy as I can the heat. These are these transition joiners, which I've never seen before. I don't know if you can see that. Focus. There you go. Microengineering transition joiners, so transition from code 83 to code 70. Clean them up a little bit before I stick them on. So you will not see me soldering track in this video together in this video. You may decide to do that on your own now. I would encourage everyone to do their own research before they make such a decision. How am I supposed to do this? Do I just squeeze this in here? Do these come with instructions? They do come with instructions. Guess I should probably look at those, huh? Before I start breaking them. I don't have a ton of extras. The ID on the sprue identifies which end is which. Okay, yeah, so yeah, that makes sense. Once the joiner is removed from the sprue, it can be difficult to determine which rail end is which, or even which size transition joiner you have. Leave the joiners on the sprue until ready to install. Blah blah blah. Transition joiners are designed to fit microengineering rail, which is what I'm using. On microline, top the gauge, yep. These require joiners to be handed. Handed? Each pair has a left hand and a right hand joiner for the left and right rail. Oh God, okay. Note that the slots in the joiner have a straight side and an offset side. The straight side must be installed to the inside of the track. Each pair is positioned on the sprue in the same orientation. I'm glad I read these instructions because I would have put them on completely wrong. A straight side and an offset side. I don't see a difference. God, now I guess I gotta get my magnifying glasses on now. I'm feeling old. Straight side and an offset side. I'm not seeing it. The slots in the joiner have a straight side and an offset side. The straight side must be installed to the inside. Right, so is that because of the... I'm not seeing it. I'm gonna have to just guess. Oh, I see it. Oh, that's tiny. What's going on? I don't want to break anything. Whew. It's a tight fit. Hey Eric, how's it going? Thank you for joining the stream. It's super exciting. We're laying track. And listening to royalty-free music while we do it. I was considering putting on some model rail radio or some Modeler's Life. I like the Modeler's Life guys a lot better, but I was considering doing that. But with them talking to me talking at the same time, I think that would have been a little annoying for you guys. So I didn't do it. So we're listening to this instead. All right. Man, I'm gonna put this together as one unit. Before, oh, I didn't trim off the back ends of the rail on these guys. Glad I figured that out now before I went and glued it down. All right. Hopefully I can get this to. Whew. Boy, there's not a lot of room for not getting it right on this. I'll tell you what, though. It does align the track to the top of the rails nicely, so it is doing its job. Does my layout room look really messy? It does. Ugh. Don't like that. I don't like people seeing how messy my room really is. Try to keep it clean. Okay. Cool. So a little gap here, but it ain't bad. All things considered. All right, now time to lay down some glue, huh? He's got some serious talking going on there. Some serious discussion. All right, let's glue this down. Well, here's the question. Do I want to glue it down or do I want to continue? Let's lay down a line of flex going that way, and then we'll glue those two down. Let's do that. Hey, check this out. So, any of you guys familiar with the Virginia Midland? Come on, focus. Look at that. Ooh, I got a Virginia Midland boxcar. Super excited about that one. That's awesome. Shannon Crabtree just sent that to me. I bought it from him. But his layout is amazing. He's got a freelance layout that I just love. It's a smaller one. It's in a spare bedroom or office area. It was huge inspiration as I was starting to work on my own freelance layout. So very cool to have his layout as a part of my layout in that way. I think we'll lay this track here because then it'll help me sort of align everything appropriately. So I can get nice and straight. Yeah, this is going to be important to do this. Hey, Justin Two Trains, how's it going? Thank you for joining. Laying track today, so I'm not doing a lot of fun running of trains or anything, but doing the important stuff that you need to get done. So you can do the fun stuff while they're running of the trains, right? Trying to be very careful to measure nicely so that I'm going to lay my track down. It's as straight as possible. It's not going to be super straight. 100% straight. But one of the one of the easiest mistakes to make in model railroad narrows is going too quickly with the track work and not laying it nicely and cleanly, and then you get to ballasting and scenicking, and then you've got that one spot in your layout where the train always derails or cars always bump over the rail joiner, and it's really annoying. And fixing it is an even bigger pain. So you might as well do it right the first time. So my track work is going very slow as a result. But I don't intend to take this layout down. So it's got to last. And like a fine wine, I'm savoring the process. I'm not able to get this joint. Oh, man, I like this micro engineering track. The tolerances are very tight sometimes, which is good, I guess, right? I'm trying not to bend my flex track at all because kink it and won't go super perfect and straight again like it was. There we go. Biggest mistake I made on my other layouts that I would have gone back to change was going too quickly on track work and not being careful enough to make sure that things were aligned nicely and as straight as I could get. All right, cool. All right, cool. think we're ready to start gluing. What do you think? It's a little kinked, but that's fine because I want the yard tracks to be a little messy looking. How many layout types have I made? My first layout was a 4x8 foot HO scale layout that I didn't finish because it was a little too. I was a young dude. I was junior high, late junior high, early high school, and I stuck the 4x8 foot layout in the corner of this room. It wasn't even really a room. It was more like a wide hallway. So up against the wall, in the corner. And that made working on the back part of the layout completely impossible. Not impossible, but certainly I'd have to lay on the table. Ugh. So I didn't get very far on that layout, but it was a learning experience. I'm using some of my precious paper towels in a time of quarantine. Second layout was an N scale. I want to say it was like 2.5 by 6 foot layout. Pretty small. I got that one pretty far along. I would get that one too. I would say scenery was completed. Building structures, I didn't have a lot on there. They were in the early stages of getting done. I was really nervous about screwing up my models, so I didn't really build the building structures to completion. Had that for end of high school / through college. I actually took that one to college with me. Perfect size layout for a beginner, in my opinion. I think when you're just starting out, having a smaller layout that is not taking up an entire room or a very large portion of a room is a great idea because one, you want to know your family. Two, you'll get it done faster to a higher level of completion. And you'll learn the things that you like to do with model railroading. You'll learn whether you're like operation, you like trains running, you like to do a little switching, you like scenery a lot. So if I'm recommending a new layout to somebody for the very first time, I say if you don't mind N scale, an N scale like 3 by 6 foot layout, this is the way to go. My third layout was actually a Lego layout. I had a Lego trains layout when I first got back into trains after college. I was actually more into Lego at the time. And my then girlfriend got me a Lego train set, and that got me super into trains again. And so I built a train table for it in a room in my basement. And that was, I think that one was 3 feet by 7, something like that. It was kind of a weird size. And then I had an L peninsula off to one side for a cement industry. It was actually the very first version of the Midland Falls Railroad. So that's my third layout. My fourth layout was, if you go to my website, the Midland Falls, mfrailroad.com, most of that site is dedicated to that last layout, which was a 2 foot by 10 foot shelf style layout that had a sort of a 9 foot staging yard off on one sort of corner of it, and then a 7-foot lead track on the other corner of it. But the model portion is 2 by 10 foot. And I had that for a number of years. Did a lot of operation on that. Learned that I like operation, but I'm kind of a scenery guy as well. And I was perfectly happy with that one for a very long time until I bought this house with this basement, knowing that I probably would want to build a bigger layout at some point. And I certainly did. So this makes this layout number 5, technically. Although layout number 3 was a Lego layout. So, still had to build the benchwork, still had to kind of do the track planning, and it just was scenery. It was a little different. Ballasting was a little different. Ballasting was, putting little pieces of Lego down on track as opposed to rock. I still counted as a layout. I mean, I still operated it like a layout and ran trains and built cars from scratch out of Lego. It was fun. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the shelf layouts. I think there's some really beautiful shelf layouts out there. Lance Minheim was the modeler that kind of convinced me. Lance Minheim, he had like this downtown spur, I think is what it was called. And then why am I blanking on his name? Mike Confalone. I don't know why I blanked on his name. I guess I hadn't spoken it out loud in a while. Mike Confalone had the Woodsville Terminal, which that one, once I saw the Woodsville Terminal in Model Railroader magazine, it was about the same size as what I had room in my basement for, and it was gorgeous. And it looked like a lot of fun to operate, to bring cars on and move them around and put them where they needed to go and pull cars out. And it had like lots of opportunity for scenery. And what I liked about it was it wasn't overwhelming. Like one person could operate. And at the time, and I still kind of am, but at the time I didn't really know anybody else in model railroading. So everything I was doing was by myself. Like I wasn't really bringing people into my basement. So having a small shelf layout was perfect for that. And even this layout, even though it is a room-sized layout and it goes around the walls and there's a lot here, this is still meant to be operated by one person or possibly 2 people. I could do two. Crews. I could have one crew working the yard or one crew works the industries. I could do that, but really, one person can do all the jobs on this layout in a couple of hours operating session, and was my goal for this one. Was to build a nice, good-sized layout, but not overwhelm myself in the operations department where I was really requiring, a crew of people to have fun on the layout. So the advantages of a small shelf style layout is like you can run operate it by yourself, and I really, really like that. And I tried to bring those into this layout that I'm working on now. Okay, I'm gonna glue. I'm using new glue for myself on this layout. Before on a good layout I had previous, I was using just white glue to glue the track down to the cork, and I really like white glue. I think it's great adhesive for very many things in the hobby. One thing and it worked very, very well. It made the connection between the track and the cork very, very solid with no flexibility. And I'm kind of wondering if having some flexibility between the track and the cork is a good thing. It might all be moot whenever you go to ballast your track anyway. I mean, the ballast really locks that track in. But there might be something to be said about having a little bit of flexibility there. So a lot of people swear by Alex Plus silicon. This is the clear stuff. You see right there, it says clear. Clear. And I said, what the heck? I'm going to try it on this layout. I needed a lot of glue anyway, and this was cheaper. I think this is cheaper than white glue. This is like a couple of bucks for a tube, and the tube can get you pretty far. And so I tried it, and I like it a lot. I like that it was clear. So my track work is going to stay kind of unfinished for a while. So like having the clear silicone is nice. It's just flexible enough that like you can kind of correct some of your mistakes once it starts to dry. It comes up cleanly. I've had to pull track up, and it does come up pretty cleanly. It holds it very, very well, so your track work may not survive when you bring it up, but I've pulled track up before, and it's survived okay. But it didn't. What it didn't do was it didn't destroy the cork, which is nice. So I don't think that white glue has destroyed the cork either, but so that's a good thing. So I like it a lot. It's a little messier than white glue is. It's a little slightly trickier to work with, but I think the results are better. So that's what I'm using. Hey, Justin, I don't know if you're still here, but thanks for stopping by the stream. I appreciate it. For anyone who is curious, I do plan on doing this every Saturday morning for a couple of hours. At least for the foreseeable future. At least through quarantine, if not longer. This is good stuff. This is nice and motivating to get work done. I'm not putting as much over here where all the mechanical elements come into play. I always end up putting on way more than I need. So I'm trying to be a little conservative about that. I'm going to put a little bit more on and be okay. So you just put a bead on and then you kind of smooth it out. Trying to make sure you don't have a whole lot of like high sections. Because that's going to seep up through the track. And that might make ballasting a little hard. So I'm putting it on kind of, I wouldn't say thinly, but I laid it on way thicker in my staging yards, that's for sure. Didn't need it to be thin at all in the staging yards. Staging track is not getting ballasted. So I wanted that to hold. It's in a difficult to reach spot on the layout. And so I did not want to come up accidentally, so I laid that on kind of thick. This one, a little bit thinner. Okay. Now we just get a little more on the switch pad here. So you can see I'm kind of keeping the glue away from the points. Extra glue there is not going to help secure it and any more than it will really, and could hinder operation. All right, everything is in place. Let's get our ruler and make sure that spacing is good. Spacing seems good. And sight down the track to make sure that looks good. Looks good. And I'm just going to do a little more measuring just to make sure that I'm happy with. Then I'm going to start to pin. I'm happy with how much of a gap there is there. So I want to fix that gap real quick. Because now is the time to do such a thing. Probably would have been better to do that slightly earlier. But better late than never. Better late than too late. Ah, these real drillers, man. All right, there we go. There we go. Looks better. Looks better. All right, back to measuring. And I'm just going to pin down in a couple of places. I could use a little. Use a little bit more glue right this here. I'm just going to lay a few thumbtacks along the way. Once I determine that I'm happy with the positioning. Just to kind of keep things tacked down while I make sure that I'm happy with the alignment. Measure a lot. And rather be overly cautious than underly cautious. What I'm seeing is a little kinking of the rails. I'm going to try to work that out a little bit. Microengineering track holds its shape, which is great for curves, but terrible for straights. Because you kink it a little bit and then it'll stay there. And like I said before, a little kinking is fine. I'm fine with a little bit. I'll just add a little realism to like these yard tracks, which are old and haven't been properly maintained in years, right? It's the idea anyway. Mm-hmm. And then just load it up with thumbtacks. I feel like maybe I could have used a little more glue over on this end, but I think we'll be all right. I can use a little white glue if I need to. Squeeze a little white glue in there. Or you know what I'll do? Take a little glue on a little toothpick. I'm blocking the camera with my arm here. All I'm doing is just kind of spread a little glue under here. A little messy looking. Okay, doesn't need to be super glued. The balance will take care of a lot of that, like I said. But yeah, all right. Ain't bad, ain't bad. I think that's it. I think we're good. We got this track glue down, this first section here. want to do more, but I'm gonna let this glue dry, call it a day. See if my wife needs some help around the house. And there's some cleaning I want to get done. So I'm gonna call it. Thanks everyone who stopped by. Thank you, Wyke, for sticking around. Appreciate it. It's my first test broadcast, so these are just going to get better as I get better at figuring out how to do this. But yeah, anyways, thanks for stopping in. I appreciate it. I'll be back next Saturday where I'll probably continue with the yard at that point. I'll see if I can get some more of it done during the week, but we'll see. All right, thanks a lot, guys. See ya.